Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 10 of the VIP Collective. So today we sit down with Tobias of Soul Power Productions to talk about his journey into the industry. So let's go. So we begin. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to have you.
That's probably what everyone has said, right? Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Thanks for coming.
Fuck that. So busy. I don't need this shit.
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Throw the chair.
Yeah.
Well, no, I really appreciate you coming. So
my pleasure.
Thanks
for
making the trip.
Yeah, of course.
So for everyone who is watching and or listening, because we are both, we are with Tobias. Now, am I saying it correctly?
Tobias.
Tobias.
Call me Tobias if you like.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, is that I silent or?
It's whatever
Tobias.
you want it to be. That's my stripper name.
Okay.
Tobias.
Yeah. Okay, Tobias. Yeah. You are owner and founder of Soul Power Productions. So why don't you tell everyone kind of a little bit of how it started? And
I was working for somebody else for 9 years as like a DJ entertainer guy, and then decided to start my own. This is 2002. End of 2002.
Yeah.
And started in my mom's basement, just like me and a few dudes, and it was primarily just like DJing parties and
like turntable and.
But it was both that. I was
okay.
At the time was like DJing in nightclubs, like DJing, and also like bar mitzvah DJing.
Oh, cool.
They say DJing, but that's not really DJing. But I was doing both like quite heavily, and that was sort of the foundation of the company. And then it kind of grew from there, but like started like as small and humble as it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was in 2002.
That was, my first job was December 9, 2002.
And was that a club or was that a...
That was a corporate event for... it was a corporate event for the Port Perry Casino.
Oh.
And I had 2 days with them back to back, and then I had a corporate event for the CN Tower. And then on January 25th, I had the first bar mitzvah, January 25th, 2003. So that felt like actually my first real one, because at the time the corporate was just like, it didn't even register for me. It was just like extra. But when I did the first bar mitzvah, that felt like it was like really real at the time. Yeah.
Is corporate like, was it like cocktail hour kind of music that you were providing, or was it like party?
The Port Perry one was like 1,000 people, like holiday party. And the CN Tower was too also. It was like less. It was for the CN Tower, at the CN Tower, like for their staff.
Okay.
And so it was like holiday party jams.
Someone told me not too long ago that there used to be a club in the CN Tower. Can you confirm or deny this? There was,
yes.
How is that even a thing?
I know.
Like taking like drunk people up the elevator?
Yeah, it wasn't at the top.
It wasn't.
At the top.
Okay.
It was like the third or fourth or fifth floor or something like that.
Okay. Because I was shocked. Yes. I had no idea.
Yeah, it would be cool to do.
Yeah, like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you play instruments? Are you
I mostly... amateurly play a lot of instruments. Okay. I have never played any of them well. I played drums for a long time and in a few bands, and guitar, and I was a pretty decent DJ.
Okay.
I was pretty decent. I'm probably I was a tier below pretty decent. I faked it really, really well. Yeah.
But you were amazing.
I did much better than my skill set would have spoken to.
Right. And you just taught yourself what to do, right?
Yeah. This was like pre-YouTube.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, I learned, and I ended up teaching it, and I've judged it and managed it. And so it's been a big part of my career.
So you've done a lot.
On the DJ side, I've had a long history in like that world.
Okay, so then walk us through DJing you started, and then when did the company actually take form, and like how did that work?
In the first few years, it's sort of, I probably in 2005, I think was the first time we had an event that I wasn't a part of, like that I didn't have to be at or that I wasn't having anything to do with. So we had two in one night, and that was a big deal at the time. So it took a few years where it became like less about me and more about the company. That was like the beginning. It still was a long evolution to a point, like now there's nights where we have 15 or 20 events in a night, of which most people don't know who I am, or it's just they're building, they're using the company. So I'm lucky that I had a few people there that at the very beginning that are still here and have been a part of the whole growth.
Yep.
But it's sort of changed from like kiddie DJ company to grown-up DJ company to production company to all of the above. And then we've always had like a artist development, artist management wing sort of separately. So I've worked and managed DJs, dancers, singers, rappers sort of separately, and sometimes it intertwines with like the current version, but that was sort of the evolution. And then moved into my first office. I'm probably on office like 6 or 7 now, but I moved to my first office probably in 2005 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really like natural climb.
Yeah, but it took you in a number of different.
Yeah, like
avenues,
I've never really stopped doing anything.
Yeah.
We've just continued to sort of add more onto the plate within what we do, and we went from like me and my mom's basement to 16 full-time people now, and about 100 contractors that are like fairly consistent.
That's crazy
working.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because this is like 2002-ish, 2005-ish,
Yeah.
and then this is pre-social media,
Correct.
more or less. So what kind of hustle are we talking about pre-social?
It's a good question. Like certainly more organic and more natural than so. It's really easy to fake it with social media. Like websites was the first way to fake it, because you could have a great website, which is really what I did. Like when I started, I put all the money into these really amazing packages that, like at the time, you would meet people and give them like this package.
Right.
And so my packages cost me like $5 or $6 each, which even now is very expensive. At the
like
time
a do-it-tang?
It was like a small little version with these custom cut corners and all these pieces and it was like really impressive.
Yeah.
And so that and a website, and the website really at the time was so impressive. So it looked like, wow, these guys are great. And that's sort of the first form of really faking it, which ultimately is what social gives people the ability to do, which is cool with social media, that there's tons of people that are like, posting pictures from events that they did 4 years ago. And it's like, only the people who know, but it's like constantly pushing it out there. So the hustle was definitely different. It was very much relationship driven, as I think it still is, but it was organic. It was like the people you worked with, you socialized with to a certain extent, and you had chemistry with, and it was like people knew your work because it was authentic, not because they saw a picture on Instagram.
Right.
And I think we built it really organically, like just doing great work and just being good people and letting it grow along the way. So over time, it makes sense that it's continued to grow because we've just continued to do good work. And why would those relationships change? But it definitely was more real than today. Although a lot of people are doing real and great work, there's a lot of people who are not, and it's hard to tell the difference. And I think primarily because of social, but really I remember even the website, because when I had left where I was working, I don't even know if they had. I guess they had a website, but not for it was not for long.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a big part of the world.
Yeah.
And I got a loan when I started my business and put all of it towards, like I had a website and great packages, but no equipment, no office, no insurance, no nothing.
Yeah.
So it was all basically what people are doing, what I'm sort of bashing on a big scale, I did in my own way then. So
it's just changed so much over the years.
Yeah, well, it's like in some ways it's easier, right? Like you can start a business on Instagram and have no business, but appear to have one. And if you can pull it off, then great.
Right. But the truth comes out.
Eventually. But if you can sort of fake it well enough, God bless you. It's a skill set in its own.
Yeah. So. Well, how did you find all the good people that you're working with? Like was that like a challenge or you were with 4 of your friends at the beginning, right?
Yeah, like it was all guys who sort of worked in the field, and really I've had a really loyal, hardworking group from the get-go, and it's been a really important piece to me. I've always said I choose good people over talented people. You can take somebody like pseudo-talented and give them the skill sets and train them to be great, whatever their art is, but if they're not good people, then you're not going to get very far. And so
because there's such a reflection on you guys too, right?
Yeah, of course. But you're with them all the time, and it's like if you want to grow, I don't see any other like logical way to do so in our business. Not a lot of people have been able to have large businesses in the event business, because it's very much like 1 employee, 2 employees, 3 employees, then somebody leaves, and it's like that whole racket. So I've just been really good to everybody because they deserve it. And I've always used the expression, I don't want to be on the top of the mountain by myself. I want to be 2 or 3 tiers down with a big group of people. And I think everybody who works there would say so. And I've actually never had anybody leave to compete with me. I've had people leave to move on to other careers because it wasn't like the right fit for them. But no one has ever I'm not against anybody.
Is it kind of like allowing them to have flexibility in what they want to do as well? Because I feel like in this, because it's such a creative space, right? That if somebody comes up to you and says they want to try something, maybe you can.
Yeah, I think they have to be. I think they have to enjoy what they're doing and be good at it. And so we don't hire for position. So it's not like, oh, we need a salesperson, let's go hire. It's if I meet somebody who's great, I want to hire them, and we'll find something for them, and we may shift other responsibilities around amongst staff. And we do that all the time. Like if I come across somebody who I think is great, I want them on my team because I think great people make better teams. And so I think everybody, primarily enjoys what they're doing, and we've had some, like, we have put people in the wrong situations, and then it just inevitably is going to fail. Even if they're willing to do so, inevitably it's going to fail. And so you have to sort of learn the hard way. But yeah, it's been a good ride with really good people.
I want to go off topic here and check out your hat for a second. It's amazing.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk a little bit about like your involvement, because I mean, you guys are doing obviously events, and you're doing weddings, you do corporate, you kind of do everything. So you're involved with a lot of bigger brands as well, and the Jays and the Raps, and like, what's kind of your involvement in that? How did that start? It's super interesting.
It started in the it started with the Raptors in the late 90s. I was managing a dance team, and we got asked to do something for the Raptors, and like it could have been halftime shows or something like that. And the guy who was sort of low level, like event staff person there, which they have a variety of sort of runners, continued to climb and is like the top of the food chain there, and has been for many years there. So throughout the years, as they needed things, he would call and say, "Hey, do you have this? Do you have that?" And so the relationship really over time developed, and we would work really closely with the dancers, and we would work really closely with the in-game entertainment staff, and it really just grew and has continued to grow to a point where, Maple Leaf Sports is one of my biggest clients, and I spend a significant amount of my own attention specifically on that. And so obviously as the teams, so that the Raptors also turned into the Maple Leafs, although we do a lot more for the Raptors, and just general in-house work within the venue. There's just a ton of things happening, and I think they need people like me to be able to really quickly turn around lots of different ideas and lots of concepts, and it's a really great working relationship.
So it's dancers for the Raptors, and what for the Leafs?
Well, we have worked for many years very closely with the dancers. There's like a dance coordinator. We actually have nothing to do with the dancers today, other than independently they do quite a bit of work with us. But we do halftime shows, pregame shows, outside, inside. We manage music for the Sure Club, which is Drake's club inside the Air Canada Centre for the Maple Leafs. So there's just a ton of things. And then I got introduced to the Blue Jays about 4 years ago, and they very quickly became also an amazing client. One of my most favorite clients. They have an amazing team there that we work really closely with, and I speak to the Blue Jays almost every day. Just constantly. They really want to do great entertainment within the time that the fans are there, and I think they have a really good handle on how to do that. And
so you guys have your own like setup in a section almost with like...
No, like for the Blue Jays, there's an area in the outfield, like at the back of the outfield, where they just do entertainment. So we'll put out bands, and we'll do concerts, and we'll do activations, and we do concerts outside of the arena for the Blue Jays. We do, this year they asked us to do a project where we turned the Jays clubhouse into a nightclub, so that when the players come in, they hit a button and it becomes like a nightclub after a win.
Cool.
So they call on us for like... It's fun. We joke about it. They call on us for anything that they can think of, and sometimes it's like we don't do that. But I try and help where I can, and I really enjoy. All the work with all the sports teams. I'm exceptionally hands-on with it. I would say that's the piece that I personally put the most attention on. That, and probably exceptionally high-end wedding and corporate. But from a day-to-day, like I'm at the arenas and the stadiums like multiple times a week, depending on the week, and my team is like. Knows those buildings inside and out, and so it's a nice change, because even when we meet people, it's like if I meet a new performer, my competitors can offer them like weddings, and I'm like, well, do you want to perform in front of 50,000 people? And so that gives us a nice leg up, and it's been really great, you
Yeah.
know, especially with the Raptors having done what they did. And
Where were you?
I was there. I was there for almost all of them. We did
Yeah.
most of the halftime shows
Yep.
there. So, you know, my joke was game 6 when they won, I didn't know if I wanted them to win. I actually already had an artist lined up for game 7.
Right.
And so it was a great artist to work with. It would have been a good financially. It would have been everything. And then I kept thinking, if they win, I would have been able to run on the floor. So I kept thinking, I don't know if I want them to win in 6, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a pretty amazing thing that happened, I think,
Yeah.
for all of Toronto too.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Were you down at the parade and like?
Yeah,
down at
yeah. I was a part of everything, and
Yeah.
seeing it like through the way I got to see it and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I have memories that I'll never forget. So,
What was was there a moment after you got a phone call from like your friend that was working with the Raps and kind of said like, hey, can you do this? And you're like, oh shit, this is getting big time.
every time, you know,
Yeah,
like,
right?
so it started like, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, we brought in an existing dance team that we represent to do games, and it was like try out for one game, and then it turned out they did, I think, every game. So that was amazing. And then it was like, I think internally they sort of were always like, what does Abby exactly do? Like, how do we use him? And so random people in the organizations will call and be like, not sure if you do this, but like, we want to do like X.
Yeah.
And then either, you know, I also don't really fake it. Going back to what we talked about before, if I can't do it out, like, I'm not the type of person who says I'll do it and then I'm just gonna like go online and book something and mark it up 20%. I just would rather say like, here's who you should use, because we do what we do, and otherwise I don't want to be in the middle of it.
Yep.
So it never was like, hey, the contract is yours. It was really like a slow build. With the Jays, it was much faster. It's like sort of, we jumped in right away, but I think there's just a really good synergy in both with both teams. They're very different and with both organizations, but I think I have a good handle on, you know, the brands are very different and their needs are different and their budgets are different. And
Yeah. What's kind of one of the craziest requests you think you've had?
ever?
Yeah. Why
Oh
not?
my God. I can't even.
That could or couldn't be done. I don't know. That was
I had the Argos were a client for a long time, and they wanted to airlift a Porsche onto the owner's tennis court.
okay.
That was that.
Did it happen?
No. It could have. It just didn't.
Yeah.
That was a crazy one.
Yeah.
That's the one that sort of stands out to me. But we like always try and get it done. I think if it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm also lucky to have clients with the right, like they're prepared to spend should they need be. So.
Like with requests come budget.
Yeah, like
more or less.
within reason. You know, like sometimes clients will say, "Hey, we want to book like some famous artist," and they have a minimal budget, and
Right.
just because they don't know any better. And how would they know any better? But it would be like wanting to buy a Ferrari but having a Honda budget.
Yes.
And so I deal with that a lot, because that's a
Okay.
big piece of what we do is bring in celebrity acts for events. That's what
Right.
we do. You know, we do a lot of that for the sports teams, just in terms of negotiating contracts and being able to connect to artist teams like instantly.
Yeah.
Access
Yeah.
is a really big piece, again, to what I personally do within my company.
Yeah. Do you find that you pull, like, are you a big concert goer because you love music and you pull
Yeah.
kind of inspiration from that kind of stuff?
I don't know that if I
Stuff,
pull
or
inspiration from it.
just kind of get into it?
Music is my biggest passion, so
Yeah.
I could go see concerts. I went to Denver this weekend to see concerts, just to see concerts. So I'm
Who's the artist? Right
Grateful
now?
Dead.
That's yours?
I'm like always like a very closet Deadhead. You would never know but that's like my act. So I went to
Amazing.
see them in New York 2 weeks ago, and then in Denver last weekend.
Are you following them? Are they coming to Toronto?
They're not.
That's why you gotta go.
Yeah. But but I'm a lover of all music, and I know people say that's kind of lame, but I really am. I listen to a lot of different types of music, and I don't know that I ever pull. It's hard to pull inspiration. Maybe if it's like, you know, I remember seeing it when Kanye West concert a few years ago, when his stage was floating throughout the crowd, like stuff like that.
So maybe an appreciation, maybe not inspiration, but you appreciate because you know what it takes.
Yeah,
to do
on the
that
production
kind of
side for sure.
Yeah.
The production side, seeing like lighting or rigging and done in interesting ways definitely can spark an idea. It's hard to translate that because it's such a large scale into even a really great corporate event that still may only be 300, 400, 500 people. So it's hard to take such a grand piece. We've done versions of it.
I've been able. It's fun for me because when I go into some of the weddings, like I get to work with your team. And I'm always excited when I see them on the bill.
Oh, that's great.
I've like your team's amazing.
Yeah,
so,
they're great. Yeah.
Performers, like, how do you choose who your performers are going to be? Do you have like a system almost, or is it just kind of like if you hear talent, you're like, hey, do we mesh?
I think to a certain extent, like there's a few people in my office who handle talent outside of me, and they all have good handle on, I think, what's good and what will work. But like I interviewed a new singer this morning, and I said to her, like, you could be great or not. And it's not about how she's clearly a great singer. I heard her sing, but whether or not she'll be good, at this, I don't know. And so sometimes we just have to throw them out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I sort of also let people run with their pieces. I think evaluating talent, I just said to this girl this morning, like, there is no rhyme or reason. Like, maybe she'll work 100 times this year for us, or maybe once and never again. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
do your bands perform together quite? Like, I know they perform at events, but do they practice outside and stuff like that?
Some do, some don't.
They
like,
jive
I have
so
some
much?
bands that are like really into rehearsal, and they rehearse once a week. And I have like my most popular band doesn't rehearse. I think they've rehearsed once ever, and it's sort of a testament to how good they are individually. But it's also like, imagine if they actually rehearsed.
Right.
And part of it is, being able to put the right pieces in place. You know, like Kibwe runs the live music. He's as much of a gem as you'll ever find. So,
Kibwe?
Yeah, Kibwe.
Kibwe.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he can orchestrate magic.
Amazing.
So sometimes, even like for me, like when I came to Scrubs as a guest, so just to hear the band, I'm like, man, they're really good.
Yeah.
And it's like I probably handpicked every player there, but to actually hear it, and it may have been a year since I last actually heard it. I'm not at the events often,
right?
So that inspires me. Actually, I was inspired there to hear them. I'm like, man, they're really good.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know they are, and every day people are wanting to book it, but to actually go and like see it for myself and hear it, and like. That really inspires me. Even like, as an example, like even the lighting in there, I was like, wow, this looks great. And the production looked great. And as it should be, like, I think we're the best at what we do, but to actually see it and experience it as a guest is...
Scrubs is unreal.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
It's unreal. It's really great. So you've been doing that for like 4 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Or something?
Yeah. Dan runs that whole ship. I can't take an ounce of credit for it other than coming and getting drunk. It's literally the only thing that I do. I don't know what's even there until I get there.
Yeah.
It's one of his like projects that he's really passionate about, and he spends a lot of time, and he does really well. And we work very closely with sick kids, so they're a great client, and we're like passionate about what they do.
It was just really such a cool event because we were there last year too, and it always brings a new level.
We have a few that I think are like really amazing, and that's definitely one of them. I wish it went later. I feel like it ends too early, but I'm sure there's a reason why. Yeah. But yeah, I had just done an event there a week earlier. So I was like, I had spent so much time in that space.
It's it's such a canvas, hey? Like, because you literally walk in, it's just a warehouse.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, hey, do your thing, and it always just transforms into something different every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool space.
Okay, so speaking a little bit more on the business front, like, if somebody was going to be starting their own entertainment company, like, what kind of advice do you give?
Stay away. I will eat you alive. What kind of advice? I don't know. I don't think that it's that different than any other business. I have always said that. Like, I think when people say music business or sports business or entertainment business, it sounds like exciting because of the first word. But at the end of the day, like, I spend 90% of my time in front of a computer, just like everybody else, and dealing with staff and insurance and payments and clients and company procedure. And, I wish I could spend more time on being creative, and it's just at the end of the day, like, the business parts is the volume. Like, that's the bulk of it. So I think, like anything else, you have to be, like, everybody says they want to do well, but they're not, but they're sleeping in and they're not working that hard. And it's like, I work really hard. Like, I'm thrilled to go into my office on a Saturday, on a beautiful Saturday, and just work. And it's like, I'm not interested in watching TV shows. I'm like, I just want to work. That's what I'm really passionate about, and being successful and building this thing to what I think it can be. And I think if anybody has that drive, I think you could probably do it in anything. I don't think outside of something that you need a degree for, like, you're not going to be a brain surgeon tomorrow, but like, if you're passionate about selling shoes or whatever, like, just do it, and I say that wholeheartedly because nothing was ever handed to me. I just worked really hard, and I would say that's the bulk of it. Clearly, if you want to work on the entertainment side, you have to have some skill set in that field. So the fact that I was in it and doing it helped me. But I don't think it's rocket science. And I'm actually surprised that there's not more people doing it at this level. There's a lot of mom and pop kind of operations, but I don't know that there's any other anybody else of this size doing what we're doing. But I don't think it's that difficult. At the end of every year, like we don't really have an off season in my business because we do so many, some people like who just do weddings are like, oh, it's like wedding season's over and we're done. And we're like, now it's TIFF and now it's company holiday parties and now it's Blue Jays. And so, but when we do get we have a small window in probably February where it's not overly busy and we think, okay, we need to hire one more person, buy more equipment, like sort of that regroup. And we realize we do just enough to get us to where we would have been okay last year. But then the following year, like we've been busier year over year since we've been in business. So it's just always been like, I haven't like brought on 5 people at once or anything.
Yeah. There wasn't like in a time where the volume was so much, you just had to like.
No, again, because I'm always just looking for good people. I just spoke to somebody, one of my staff yesterday. I'm like, let's just try and, do you have any ideas about, let's find somebody, I'm ready for another person, because I think we're in an interesting position that we could really grow, but I'm scared to take on more without more people. Usually it's the other way around. People take it on and then
figure it out.
Yeah. But then, I have a commitment to every client who's hired us that I'm not going to shortcut them. Yeah. So I'm happy to, put another person under my wing for a year and let them grow. And then I think we could take more venues. I think there's a big opportunity, I think, right now for us, because I think there's very few people who can do what we can do and do it well. And so there's a demand for that.
How many events are you taking on a year?
Close to 2,500.
25. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, which is a jaded number because, the sports teams, there could be, a lot from each sports team. So it depends. There's nights where we have 15 events and it doesn't feel that busy. And there's nights where we have 3 and it's like we're exploding. So it really depends on the size, and the logistics of it and where they are and what they are.
It's always changing anyways.
Yeah, it's never the same, right?
You
never do the same exact thing twice, which is exciting. Yeah. You're like, we're constantly moving in that way. I have a great logistics person. I think he does a good job of weaving through all of that. And, it's like, we only have so many trucks and so many people and how are we going to make this all fit? And do it responsibly and, the way that is most profitable and fulfilling all your obligations. So
there's a lot.
Yeah, it never ends, but it's good. Like what happens when it ends? Like what do you even do at that point? Like
Yeah. What's your favorite? Do you play any of the sports that you guys are involved in?
I played basketball for a long time.
Okay.
My old knees and shoulders aren't what they once were. So that's been hard. Yeah. I golf. I'm not very good, but I do really like to play golf. And I go to the gym. I'm in the gym 3 or 4 days a week, which I find is just like a nice. You would think I would be in shape being in the gym as much as I am, but it's just a nice, clear your mind and try and stay healthy. Have
you tried boxing?
I have tried. I really liked it, but again, it was tough on my shoulders. Yeah, but it's really good. Dan boxes.
Yeah?
Yeah, he likes to do that.
It's a mental clear out.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Which I feel like in the industry with so much going on, that would be good for you guys.
Right. Yeah. I don't have a lot of anxiety or anger or anything. Right. I'm pretty good. I don't know.
Pretty relaxed.
All things considered, considering I think what I have on my shoulders, I'm pretty good with it. I don't get shook. I definitely did, but at this point it's like one party's not going to make or break me, or one paycheck's not going to make or break me. It's just like, we have to do good work. We have to get paid. I want to get paid well for what I do, because it's like, you work Monday to Friday, office hours, and then clients want to meet in the evening, and then they want you to be at the event on the weekend. So it really is your life. Yep. So I want that to equate to something.
Yeah. I think it's true though. If you love whatever you're doing, you'll work the weekends, you'll do whatever you want. Yeah. You'll hustle and it'll go places. Yeah. But it's what you put into it at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So
it's what you put into it physically, but also mentally. I challenged myself years ago, am I good enough to be able to make this thing run without me being there? Because it got to a point where, when I was doing 30 events in the year, I could be at every event. So now I'm doing 2,500. So I'm only on site at the event, maybe at 15 or 20 of them. I like to go check in every so often, but so get a great team, empower them to be great, pay them well. And we didn't miss a beat. We've actually grown with me stepping away. So now I'm at a point, actually, when I go check into a party on the weekends, I tend to, not only do I not say hi to people, I tend to hide, because I'm nervous that if I see it, people are going to expect Abby's going to come to our event. Right. And I don't want to that would be going backwards. So I like to go just to see what's going on, but very rarely do I let it be known that I'm there. Like
a check-in. You're just kind of drifting in.
Yeah.
Having a look.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I did that last weekend or 2 weekends ago, But again, it's like I feel like the team does better without me there, and let them run their own ship. And sometimes planners will like text me or something because they just think that they should, and I'm like, so and so's there.
Yeah, it's all good.
He's the best.
Yeah,
you know?
they're solid.
Yeah. Most of the guys who work for me are better at what they do than if I did it. So, like, don't message me about, the lights need to be brighter.
Yeah.
Because the guy there knows more than me, or like, like they're all. You want to have people who work for you who are better than you in their respective ares. Yeah. And I think I've done a good job of that.
How did you find them though? Did you find that people gravitated towards you because of what you were doing, or was it like people you knew and?
Yeah, different. I've come to like random people. I'm trying to think. I mean, again, some people have been with me from the get-go. We've met random people along the way. I may have someone who like is a dancer or a DJ, and after years of working for us, I just really like them, and I say like, why don't you come in and take a bigger role? And it's a little bit risky because if it goes bad, you may spoil 2 relationships.
Right.
But typically it's worked.
It jives.
Yeah. And
it's like being able to just sense whether someone's going to work. Right.
Yeah. And once you have worked with them in a certain capacity, like, again, if you're a great DJ is one thing, but are you punctual? Are you responsible? Are you going to dress well? Or do you know how to speak to a client? Et cetera, et cetera. So there's some people like, if I email them, they take 4 days to get me back. They're never getting an offer to come work in my office.
Right.
But we have a lot of great people, and we've had a lot of failures. We've had people who come in who I thought would be great and didn't. Like certainly as many or more failures than successes. But you have to like take those bumps and just keep going
and figure it out. Yeah.
Okay,
well, since you're running 2,500 events, you're probably busy. But can you leave a piece of advice or a question for the audience that's watching? So
a question for them?
Yeah, to be like. Either it could be anything. It could be what they want to see coming up. You could have a question for future guests on the podcast.
I would be interested to see what all the people that you're interviewing what type of music they're listening to. That'd be interesting. They're like the decision makers in our business. Like I'm always intrigued. Are they familiar with what's going on with that respect? Because I'll sometimes clients to me say, "Well, my planner thought that this band was like better," and I'm like, "Why?"
Right.
Yeah. Like where does that come from? And because we're the expert in that area, so I'm like sort of like, I want to know, is it just because?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you want to know what the hell they're thinking.
Yeah. You can ask everybody what type of music they're listening to, and then I can make sure I'm up to speed on it all.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge.
Good luck with all of it and the gold mics and such.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything you want to sing while you're here?
No. It'll be very bad if I do.
Well, if you ever change your mind.
Thank you. I know where to come.
You know where to go.
That's right.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked the video, please be sure to hit the like and also subscribe. It means so much every time you do. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Remember, we want to hear from you. This is a station for you guys to ask your questions and get answers from our pros. So hope you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for our episode next week as we are sitting down with Dawn Sagriz from Temptation Event Catering. So until then, have a great week, guys, and we'll see you next week on the VIP Collective.